What's another problem we've seen our facilitators have is you feel alone and desire community support as a facilitator. A lot of facilitators who are facilitators don't have anybody to go lean on to, and they need some support and guidance from other facilitators. So what are some things or an anecdote or story that you've had experience in, either Adam or Madeline?
Well, gosh, when I discovered Cuddle Party, I had discovered sliced bread. This was something that everybody needed to know about, um, and it was daunting. I'm a Midwesterner, and I'd grown up in the Midwest. I was in Chicago, and brought it there, and there was very little of this happening. This sort of touchy feely uh, kind of stuff, and other people were uncomfortable with it. And for me to hold my truth about it and to, again, be the change I wanted to see in the world in my integrity and have the courage to do that, to keep inviting people in, even though, I'd find myself in conversations with people that I thought were very open minded and progressive and spiritual. And I would bring up cuddling and it would get really quiet. And then people would sort of back slowly out of the conversation. And I would, and for me, having the facilitators being part of the training program and knowing that, at that time there was Reed and Marcia who had trained me, and the people on these calls and the other trainees from all over who were joining saw what I saw in it and were kind of facing their own fears and inner demons around bringing it. That was a real sense of solidarity that got me through that, and a sense that it's not just me, and it helped me hold that space where the people who did need it and who did want it kept showing up, and it grew and grew and grew. So that was one experience I had around that. I'd also love to talk about the experience with my assistants.
Yes, do it. Absolutely.
Well, as people kept coming, and I think this is what happened to me. I started out as a participant and then became an assistant, a host, and then I went on to do the training. And for me, there were participants as a facilitator. There were participants who were moving in that direction too, and I would incorporate them and encourage that by asking them to assist. And when that happened, as a facilitator, I learned really, really important lessons, both about allowing myself to be supported in the container. I'm quite the introvert, and at the beginning of Cuddle Parties, there's that time when everybody's arriving and there's all this hustle and bustle. There's the beautiful, when the space is all set up and it's empty and it's pristine and it's quiet, that's so peaceful. And then when it starts, and I'm on, I can ground into that. But that in between space could be really ungrounding for me. And I had wonderful hosts and assistants who were great at that. They loved that, hosting and extroverting, and I could sort of go and be alone or not be on until I was ready, and that was super, super powerful. And the better I got at knowing myself and accepting myself and my weaknesses, my strengths and my weaknesses, and asking for what I wanted, and seeing that people were delighted to give that support that I needed. I had one assistant that, this was so brilliant to me. I learned that period just before the welcome circle is when all the demons would show up on my head, the little gerbils that would say, "You're no good at this. You don't know what you're doing, and nobody's gonna have a good time." And but at the end, consistently, that would happen. Those voices, I'd be nervous, and at the end, I'd be so relaxed, and I'd be like, "I love doing this. I'm so grateful I got to do this." So I had one assistant who came really regularly, and I would say to him at the beginning, I said, "Can you just tell me when I'm in that time, that 10 minutes before the welcome circle starts, just tell me, Madeline, you love doing this. Madeline, you really enjoy this. And he would remind me of that part. And it was just so effective and so fun. So that's just a great experience that I've had, both as a facilitator, leaning into the community, getting to know myself, and being able to ask for what I want. Yeah, it was really rewarding.
Thanks, Madeline. Beautiful. Yes.
Adam? What you said there at the end, it reminds me of the importance of ritual for the participants. The ritual of the welcome circle, that it's the same or almost the same every time. But as a facilitator, having rituals for yourself and what you do before in preparation and what you do after in self-care. And coming up with that in whatever it is that works for you. My self-care is I go out to eat. I plan my cuddle parties in such that it ends at about dinner time. And that feels real important to me as a way of sort of putting the pillows away, folding up the blankets. All of these can be your ritual and how you sort of transition out of the facilitator mode and back into the I am now a member of the community like everybody else mode.
And that's such an important part of the Foundations of Facilitation training. So we do a whole module on that, the pre-game and the post-game. Mm-hmm. And knowing yourself as a facilitator and brainstorming ideas, because there's always more options and new ideas, and mine keeps changing and evolving as I go. But that skill of really knowing, like, oh, what's going to support me right now in terms of that period before the setup and then the after. I love to sit down with my assistants, depends on the assistant, but afterwards, I love to have that debrief space where we have listening. I can't really let go of it. All the participants have left and my brain is still going with all the things. And so I sit down with my assistant. And so how was that? How did that go? And I get remember when this happened and this happened, mm-hmm. and I kind of felt this and I felt that. And then, and we go back and forth until it feels clear. And then it's like, okay, now I can let go.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And these tools that we use, we share among facilitators because they're different for each person. Mine may be going out and having a hamburger, and yours is sitting down with your assistants and talking over the things that they noticed and that you noticed.
Another one I love is when this is something I learned that I do with participants, is that collectively, I invite the participants to help clean up the space, to mm-hmm. fold blankets and to move furniture. And so we share this amazing experience together. And then we get a little bit of teamwork, as people put on their coats and get out the door. We have a little bit of collaboration. And so there's all kinds of different things like that we share and facilitators try out and see what works for them and come up with new ideas.
Thank you to both of you. So you just heard, if you feel alone and desire community as a facilitator, Foundations of Facilitation is the perfect place for you to gain a group of people, join a group of people that can hold your hand, support you, people that you can lean on to gain knowledge from, and also learn different ways of how, whether it's a pre-game, post-game, during the event, like what are the things that each facilitator does that you can add to your toolbox to support you in becoming the best facilitator. So thank you so much for joining us. And we hope that once again, you feel inspired to become a Cuddle Party facilitator potentially, if not, joining the Foundations of Facilitation training and learning how to become a facilitator for some impactful, powerful trainings that you can put on to better the world. Thanks for joining us. My name is Solomon Bloor. Madelon Guinazzo and Adam Paulman. Thanks so much.